So I'm back. I only have 10 minutes to make these little videos, so there it is. So where I left off from, I was getting into some of the meats and potatoes of this conversation, and like I said, this might take 3 or 4 takes, but that's okay. We'll get through it. So little recap. So I got asked some pretty gnarly questions earlier, and it caused me to really think about it. And I've been asked the questions a lot over the years. It seems like people really want to know um, my take on things, and so I'm not scared to tell them. Right? You share your knowledge. That's what it's all about. As long as you're not telling bullshit, as long as you're not spreading lies, as long as you're not spreading fabrications of what the truth is, as long as you're standing on truth, right? As long as you're drawing that line in the sand and you're stabbing your sword there and you're saying, court's in session. So, being having gone through all the stuff that I've gone through in my life, and if anybody ever really heard my full story, you would completely understand. Um, that might come in another moment. I haven't decided yet. Um, when you've had to navigate all these minefields, and mostly on your own, by the way, um, when you don't have your family supporting you and encouraging you, when you don't have your friends supporting and encouraging you, when you don't have much of a support, uh, it causes you to act differently. Not in the way of violence, not in the way of rage, not in the way of what people would think that you would in those situations, right? Um, you go about it a different way because there's always more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. There's always more than one way to look at a situation from all of its angles. And if you can find a way to navigate through it without any craziness, well, yeah. Because I was a guardian, right? Because I was a soldier and so forth, and because I was a instrument of death and destruction, I figured since I wanted to kind of leave that part out of navigating all these minefields, I found a different path. Because when serving in uniform and so forth, you have to conform to a lot of potential traps, right? But when you're out of uniform, that's your time. Granted, you're on call all the time. Granted, they can call you up at any point in time. You don't really have a say in the matter. It is what it is, right? But when you're out of uniform and when you can live your normal life, whatever, you live a normal life. Um, I'm going to tell some stories in here too, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background. Wow, they were some tough questions. Um, I sat for a while tonight thinking about these questions, and I figured, hey, what the heck? I'll get on here and maybe it'll help somebody else out too. Um, wow. My first story, I was 21 and I was working for an armed security outfit. We had uniforms, we had weapons, we had pretty much everything a police officer would carry. We just weren't a licensed uh, indoctrinated police officer, right? But we helped at bars and fairs and pretty much a lot of support to the local police. Well, I was leaving one location to where I was working, and I was heading to another one. And en route to the secondary location where I was going to go work, uh, I was involved in a train accident. Pushed my car for 300 yards, or I'm sorry, 300 feet before it came to a stop. And I walked away from it. And of course, I called the police myself and called for support myself, even though I was virtually in shock. And when the officer arrived on the scene, he asked me to take out my weapon and put it on the hood of his car, and I said, "Cool, no problem." And then he asked me some questions and he got some information, and I told him, and it is what it is. And after the situation, he asked me if I wanted if I needed medical attention or if I was good to continue my night. And I said, I got things to do. I can't just sit here and I can either let the situation conquer me, or I can go on with my night and fulfill my obligation. And so the officer was like, "Cool, yeah, no problem, yeah, we'll get your car taken care of, and if you want, I'll give you a ride." And so tow truck came, took my car off the lot, or took my car off the tracks, and got it taken care of. And the officer gave me a ride just down the street. Where I was going from my next location was just down the street, honestly. And apparently, I didn't realize how what my current status was at that time. And so when I walked in, my fellow officers that were already there took one look at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." And that's when one of them pulled me outside, and was like, "Dude, do you realize that you look like you're ghost white?" And I said, "Well, I feel okay. I'm still checking my own pulse, right? I'm breathing. I'm here." He's like, "Well, if you need to talk about whatever is going on, man, you can talk." And I'm like, "Well, I ended up telling him that I was in a train accident just a little bit ago, and he looked at me. He's like, "Dude, why are you here?" And my answer was, "I have obligations." Take three.